out here, and you have other duties and responsibilities, so I appreciate you coming out here. It means everything for us. I hope that this was enlightening for you and that it was a good use of your time. Furthermore, I also hope that it challenges you in your current thinking, and it encourages you to learn more about Netaji, Subhash, Chandra, Bose. So as Rajeshji mentioned, there's a box at the back with options for contributing towards honorarium for our guests. If you would like to continue the conversation, you can go, please feel free to visit with Anujji out in the porch area. Last but not least, I would like to thank the volunteers for working so hard to make this event a success. It took the right ingredients to make a perfect samosa, but I think we got it. I hope you agree. Jai Hind.
You make me feel like I'm a politician.
Well, journalist, a true journalist deserves this honor. Places are Indian club,
I've never had such a heavy. Didn't want to call it.
So thank you, Netaji. And so with that, let me see if I can do some justice to introducing our distinguished guest here. I think you have seen this either on the event flyer or in the Eventbrite invitation. But when I looked at it, I felt this was important to reinforce, important to internalize. He's, as a distinguished Indian author, journalist, and activist, I mean, that's all fine, but he's primarily known, for the research and activism that he has done, for Netaji, Subhash Chandra Bose, especially the mysteries that has surrounded around his disappearance, right? So that's what I would consider his forte has been, his crown jewel so far, and I'm hoping that he will do a lot more of those investigations going forward. And then when I look at the key accomplishments, right, you see roughly a decade ago, 2012, his best-selling book, and fortunately, I just before he came here, I probably grabbed the last copy that was there on Amazon, so you guys can put bids on this now. Hopefully, Amazon is stocking them. But this one, India's biggest cover-up, right? I mean, that title by itself catches my attention. I think it says somewhere here, at the top, it says the bestseller, which inspired declassification of Netaji files, and web series by Balaji Studios called Bose, Dead or Alive. Right? So that's clearly a big one.
Like 1941. And I'm discussing what's happening today. So it's a big problem for me. What do I do? How do I start? Where do I pick up the thread? And it will go, and it's easier, far easier for me or anybody for that matter, to pick up something which is, for example, happening in America, Democrat versus Republicans. You know the details, you know the basic case, you know the ideas being floating around, you know the players. Now the problem with this case is very old, and people do not know, people have forgotten, and there are certain things people never got to discuss. So with that constraint, and we got about an hour, so I will very quickly rush through whatever I can show in hour's time. And you will have to excuse my accent is I'm a Delhi wala, so my accent of English is like a Punjabi and Haryana accent of English. So just please do excuse me if I speak in such a way. Which was also kept secret because all the records were leaked to our secret, so they had to release only recently. So people have been secretly paying them money. So there's nothing stopping you from doing the DNA testing. This can be done. So Justice Mukherjee, what he did, when he went to Japan, he wanted to take a look at the container, what is inside. For whatever reason, I do not know what was excused, he was not allowed to. So he left a message for our embassy, had this thing opened up, and take these photographs of whatever inside, which was done. And these pictures were distributed among American, British, Indian, and other DNA experts for their comments. So what are these? So most experts opine these are burnt human remains. These are apparently burnt, and the chances of a DNA test are remote. It can't be done. So this is what all the experts, including Indian experts, said, and even the American. But American expert Terry Milton nonetheless opined, look, I can try and give it a shot and do a mitochondrial DNA test on these remains. Chances are remote, but I can try and do it. And mitochondrial, as I understand as a layperson, something from the mother, it goes to the daughter. So if you have from the sister side, it's there. So since the blood samples of Netaji's sister's side were available, sister, son, sister, daughter, so that was a possibility they could try and do in each of contractors. But Perry Milton put a precondition before doing this test. I would like these remains to be viewed, seen by a forensic, anthropological test.
Whether there was any information available in Russia on this particular matter.
In 2019, this answer came. It was like put out in the Indian Parliament. Russia has conveyed it was unable to find document on Netaji. In fact, the actual formulation is that Russia has no information. And the entire media quoted this thing as if this was like the ultimate truth without trying to verify what does it mean. Well, it means like this, the Prime Minister Dhar Shastri of India died in Soviet Russia in 1966. And half of the Indian government was sitting in Tashkent. Our Home Minister, our Home Secretary, our Foreign Minister, Foreign Secretary, our able, this ambassador was sitting there. All the people, top level people are sitting, all the whole department, top departments of the country, both ministers and secretaries were sitting there. I asked him a simple question. I sought records about death of Babu Shastri in Tashkent. So the answer which they gave me under the Indian Freedom of Information Act is that the concerned division has conveyed that they don't have information on the subject matter. Would you believe that? Half of the government is sitting in Tashkent and Prime Minister dies and the concerned division has no records. What it means in plain English, I have no information to give to you. Who are you to ask me this question? We all know what happened in Kashmir. Article 370 was removed. When it was going to be removed, it was talk of the town. Everybody knew. We were discussing it on social media. Something big is going to happen on Monday. Now, the people in the political parties which were not very happy with what was going to happen, so they went to the governor and they asked him the same question. Are you going to remove it? He said, I have no information. So this is the jumla. I have no information to give to you. Well, you should be very bachkari cheezein. Most people, when they think of James Bond, they think that James Bond has only one connection to India, which is this. There was a movie called Octopussy shot in India. And Roger Moore, James Bond is coming to India. So.
It's a charming tune. You do take English money. Only gold sovereigns.
This charming tune, would you believe, is based on like India? Charming tune, the James Bond famous theme. So Marty Norman will tell you how he thought of this theme.
So tell me, where did the James Bond theme come from?
My Bengali friends will be very happy to know this.
Musical that Julie Moore and I were writing, called The House of Mr. Biswas, based on V.S. Naipaul's novel.
Monty's musical, based on the story of an Asian community, featured traditional Indian instruments, but it never made the stage.
So I went to my bottom drawer, found this number that I've always liked, and played it to myself. I was born with this unlucky sneeze, and what is worse, I came into the world the wrong way round. So it had this very Asian quality.
Well, I get the Indian feel, but where is James Bond for that?
I thought, what would happen if I split the notes? So I went. And immediately, the moment I did that, I realized that this was what I was looking for.
And the producers agreed.
The debate in India, who has got a better jacket? The Modi jacket is best or the Panditji jacket? I think Panditji, of course, wins because James Bond preferred the Panditji jacket. So this turned into a big story in India, and it was all over media. In fact, turned out that they were split. And our great intelligence bureau was reporting to the British intelligence till 1968. So it hurts. We did not know what. Now we come to know thanks to the British. They have officially reasoned us that we were reporting to them and we were supplying information to the masters even after till 68 at least. So this is publicly, this is all mainstream paper. IB shared information on Subhash's kill with MI5. It is not a Facebook post which they have shared. They ratted on him to the newspaper. Treason, this is treason. So with which we come to the theories. That means there is a good reason to believe this man probably was alive. And there of course are multiple questions. I can go on and on into the intelligence functioning and all that, but let's take 5 minutes and then just be through it. There's a person, very strange looking person, who is known to be living in different parts of UP. He does not show his face to anybody, he doesn't talk to anybody, he will not give you anything intelligent by him. Of course, you go inside the room, he will cover his face. If he has to move, he will move at the middle of the night. Again, the face will be covered. But then, by and by, there will be, suspicious things around him. One day you would hear him talk. Oh, Babaji speaks good English. Babaji is an ICS officer. Suddenly, you will see that the car of Chief Minister has come. So, whenever people became suspicious of this man, he would just simply, so he was trying to run away from all this controversy. And people saw him and they identified him that he was a lookalike of Subhash Bose. But let's leave all this aside because we don't have time.
Let me just do a quick pause.
I have heard there's a claim, very interesting story, that Netaji was a holy man in India, but then this claim is false. It's a conspiracy theory because the DNA test did not match, and handwriting test did not show that he was Subhash Bose. So I'm leaving this because this is a bite here, which is about Justice Mukherjee himself was caught on camera in 2010 admitting that this man was Netaji.
In 2006, Amlan Ghosh, a documentary filmmaker, caught this shocking confession on camera.
Believe me, when we personally bought it, Netaji should not be quoted more than a copy. I am 100% sure that
this is like I'm telling you strictly between you and me. He was talking to somebody whom he knew. Otherwise, he was a typical stiff upper lip person who used to not talk to anybody. He was like he would keep to himself and like an old passenger. But in this instance, the old man was talking to somebody who was older than him. So he was saying, believe me, I'm not don't quote me outside, but I'm 100% convinced he was the same person, but I could not prove it. So this is a picture of my friend, and this is Mukherjee. Interesting, and he has been to all courts of law in America, even outside America, and we thought he has the good experience. And the thing was, we won't tell him what this case is all about. So what we did was, I was also not in the picture. I have not met him. I will see if I can meet him. I don't know where he lives. Is that we supplied him 2 sets of papers, one from Gumnami Baba's side, another from Subhash Chandra Bose's side. He was not told, he was only asked to tell you whether they match or not. What happens when you give a report of handwriting test, ideally I would expect, especially in a case such as this one, the expert to give some reasons why he or she thinks that the handwriting is matching or not matching. In the case of the government testing report, they just gave 2 pages. Mr. Mandal, gave a 2-page report. This is Mr. Mandal's report, FSL Calcutta. So first page he put his name and initial. Second report page he writes handwriting does not match. No explanation given. So Kurt Saab ko diya, Mr. Kurt here, and he was. This is Kurt Bandit. 40 years experience, many cases, and testified in all states. So he had no idea. He was not even today he's not aware what he did actually. And this is, for example, one sample of Gumnami Baba's handwriting which we gave to him. It's very interesting. Whenever he used to talk about himself, there was one way of talking of himself. He would say, "Your dead man." When your dead man was in Berlin, this thing happened. When your dead man was, and he was talking about security, intelligence, and something very long and writing, so I can't discuss that right now. So he's saying here to Gumnami Baba, your dead man has no rancor for Bapu. Who's Bapu? Mr. Kurt would not know, but we know who Bapu was. Though Bapu and Congress thought otherwise, your dead man has no rancor because Bapu at last turned a bold face and preached fighting for freedom and honor. And because hearing and becoming stimulated and emboldened by the evil exhaustions of your dead man, he stopped you post-partition. And during the last fateful meeting, he is saying that your dead man, that is me, and I'm, at the end of it all, I am not annoyed with Bapu because Bapu tried to prevent the partition of India. So this is basically, and he's talking about radio exhaustion. When Subhash Bose had gone to Germany, from there he was making radio broadcasts, which caused a huge uproar in India back in those days because nobody was fighting for the country. They were basically supporting the British in Second World War. And that's why they're so famous in Indian England of the country. So this is Mr. Kurt Saab ne pura detail mein diya. He said, I'm getting to testify before a court of law. And then, of course, once the report became available, and he was asked to come on television and defend, which he did. So we also, the channel, they also invited the Indian expert, and he ran away. Obviously, he had no face to show. What can the poor man do? He has done nothing in his report. So let's take a look at this bite, and then we are through with the presentation.
Bose joining us this evening, but first I want to go across to Kurt Baggett. Kurt Baggett, the handwriting expert, joining us from Texas. Kurt, This is Anand here. I hope you can hear us and hear me clearly. Thank you.
I can hear you clearly, yes.
Thank you for joining us live. You were sent.
You're welcome.
You were sent 2 sets of questions, 2 sets of handwritings, Q1 and Q2.
Yes.
Did you know that one of them belonged to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose?
I did not know anything about the handwriting.
How long did you take to analyze?
No, I did not.
How long did you take to analyze the handwriting?
Oh, it took me several days. I didn't record my time, but it's been about a week on it, off and on. I do about 25 cases a month, so I worked on it and worked on it some more. And it took me several days to come to a conclusion.
And do you, beyond doubt, claim that the handwritings were the same, of the same person?
Yes. Yes.
Government of India. Just I'm not finished, then you can ask me the question. Let me finish it. And then, of course, the Russian angle. That's a long story, but whatever is available is showing that he was in Russia and probably Russian gave him a shelter. So there's a long and winding stories all given in the book because all the records have become available in many states. You have records coming even from the KGB indirectly. So there's no proof of death in Russia. There's only presence is there. And the thing that Gumnami Baba was in Russia, of course, he talked about Gulags, he talked about Stalin did not treat me like an enemy, my own people did. And of course, he has talked details about Khrushchev and so on and so forth. And multiple things which were were not in public domain. He was talking about classified information. I seen some of his comments about the 1962 war of India with China. I very much thought the Indian IB director could have given that kind of insight. This man who was supposedly a holy man sitting in a remote part of India was giving that kind of insight. And multiple things he has talked about, the 71 war and 65 war, all insights which is not possible for a holy man and sitting in remote part of the India to talk about. Which holy man will discuss the first jihad in Afghanistan, by the way, and the Vietnam War and all the other things in Second World War, etc. But Gumnami Baba, I have this is the array that we have got. Oral evidence is there, the forensic evidence, etc. This is the last thing about my books. They brutalize our people. We had our medical experiments. We had our comfort women. We had everything in India. What the others were doing. The British who are controlling our country using our own people. So when you blame General Dyer for Jallianwala Bagh, you ignore the fact he only gave the order. The whole thing was executed by Indians who deserved to be shot dead when India became free. They were collaborators of the British Raj. But when the British left this country, the reason why they left this country, for there plenty of data available from the intelligence side and all that. There was an army that came to revolt because of Subhash Bose. So Subhash Bose failed in the military battlefield. But when they started the war, see, there were 3 war crimes trials in the Second World War. Nuremberg war crimes trial, Tokyo war crimes trial, and Delhi war crimes trial. But Delhi war crimes turned against the British. The whole system. Everybody came out publicly, and even Congress Party and Gandhi, who were opposed to Subhash Bose, they were forced to support the INP. And it started a rumbling within the armed forces. And this is what led to the British deciding they will quit India. The Ahimsa Atoxa has absolutely no role. The British decision to free India, Gandhiji unfortunately was not able to influence much. You see the records on 45, 46, see what Clement Attlee has said in Parliament, see what others have said. It's very clear. Ajit Doval has made public statements about it. If anybody wants to question, please go and question him. His own father was in Second World War and First World War. My grandfather fought against the Germans in First World War, Second World War. So even I can also understand it later. So British, when they left our country, they transferred the power to those people with whom they could do business with, and they thought their own national security interest of future world order, trying to contain Soviet Russia, probably would be better served if we have a government who is pliant to us, and probably we can have some access to Indian military and intelligence in post-Second World War days. And the people who came to power, because of Subhash Bose made the effort, but they became the beneficiary of the fruits of power which they harvested the struggle of Subhash Bose. They had to have a narrative to sell. Why we are in power? We were opposing Subhash Bose. We were supporting the British in Second World War. Why are we in power today? So they came up with this view, which is very well known in everything. Suddenly a miracle has happened, and because of the power of non-violence, British have run from this country. So that theory was planted, the theory of Ahimsa was planted. The basic aim was to show the British in good light. Give them an honorable exit. साहब लोग हैं, साहब लोग आए आपके पास में, साहब लोगों ने आपके वर्क रैंक किए और साहब लोग साहब आप जाइए यहाँ से. So it was devised to show the colonial rulers that in right, and all the Rai Bahadurs became the new ruling renegade class. Only one agenda in life is to settle their children in Vilayat, which they did. और पूरा सिस्टम बैठ के since then they have pumped billions of dollars in promoting the fake story of Ahimsa, which nobody believes in India.